An agenda in front of us. Have any additions to the agenda?
Move the agenda.
Not at this time.
Ron moves the agenda. Favor? Carried. Meeting minutes. Did see on 2024-1. Yeah, it's just in here that all written and oral reports given by all attending members of town council be taken as informational as opposed to information. The rest of them. Only thing I noticed. Anybody else see anything in there?
Minutes with the correction.
Mark moves the minutes with the correction. All in favor? Delegations into our delegations. All the way down to 8.1 CCTIF project update and request.
Okay, so the CCTIF grant, so obviously you attended the news conference there to go get public, we're allowed to go public with the whole program now in the grants because it's been awarded out, so it's been broadcasted on Global News. During that time, we did work on getting the abatement costs figured out, and as it stands, it was provided to council, but just for go over it quickly, it's 4914 Royal Street. So that'd be the old Mason building has got $68,467 of abatement. That would be need to be done if we completely took the building down. So we don't necessarily actually have that much for renovation works. We have about $5,000 we need to do for abatement work for the actual renovation of the building. So that cost is actually really minimal. The issue with that building though is we have to complete the phase 2 of the underground contamination. So I did talk to the engineers today. They were actually in and they said that they know that the 2 gas tanks that are in the ground are actually full of concrete. They've been filled and they're just finalizing that phase 2 assessment right now, but they're saying it's a lot better than I thought it would be. So all they're concerned about, because it is underground contamination, is be able to renovate. Well, we could renovate, he said, like there's nothing stopping us from renovating. It's just that if there are vapor issues, then we wouldn't be allowed to have occupancy. So that's all they're trying to figure out right now is if vapor issues are actually an issue. If they're not, then we can move forward with renovations on the building. Costs per building wise, it's also one of the cheaper to renovate. So they're figuring that Mason building on the corner is actually going to be a pretty easy one to deal with. It's just a matter of demo, getting in there and cleaning the walls out and figuring out what the floor slab looks like and fixing the floor slab and then building however we want.
Yeah.
The 4905, so that would be the Wild Rose. Yeah, it's Wild Rose. That's our worst one. We're going to be looking at probably around 50,000 to 60,000 in abatement because they do have to rip the floor right out. And then the back addition that's on the building right now would have to be completely removed, as well as the cover over the sidewalk between the 2 buildings.
Yeah.
So all of that has to be removed. There's a lot of abatement issues within the actual addition itself that needs to be all taken out, and everything's rotten there anyway, so it doesn't work. So it's all going to come off. And then the inside of the building, there's a full-size basement in the basement area that is salvageable. Everything's clean in there. They're figuring the floor joists are all good. So the sub flooring and the flooring itself has to come all out and be replaced. And then obviously strip down the walls and ceiling and the roof. They're figuring that one's going to be repairable. So and that one, again, it's a complete gut. So they have to be completely gutted there. The other quick turnaround one would be the 4907, so the old pizzeria place. I can't remember what they called that one.
Great spot.
Sorry?
Great spot or castle. Area you're from.
That one doesn't have a lot of abatement that needs to be dealt with immediately either. So we're looking more around 10,000 to 15,000 for that one. And that was just more for like the common areas and then in the kitchen side where they actually had some insulation stuff for the vents and stuff like that. That one is going to be the quickest cleanup and repair. It's pretty open already. So it's just a matter of taking down the fake walls inside and cleaning it up and then splitting it into 2. So there is a few issues with the windows. All the windows on both buildings have to be removed because they've got asbestos silicone in and around the frames.
Okay.
And the frames are painted with lead paint. So
Put new windows in.
they're gonna put new windows in.
Yeah, they need new ones.
Energy wise, that would make sense.
And the window in the back of the right spot, they're gonna take that out and put a window door in there, so it'll actually be a storefront from the TD parking lot in the back, so. That way we can utilize that space as much as we can, so, the structural engineers have been out, they've looked at all three of the buildings. The envelope of the buildings are sound, when it comes to, you know, some of the more walls and ceilings and, you know, the more cosmetic side of things, that's where the issues are. So they're pretty adamant we can get going on this and we'll get it done pretty quick. So they have tendered out and tendering bids will be closed this Wednesday for the abatement. So they've already had contractors out. I was running around all over the place today. We've had contractors come out and actually inspect the buildings, quote on cleaning it up and demolition as well. Now, we do have an opportunity to work with those companies as well and tender out some of the smaller demo locally to have people in town hired for this project as well, because that's also part of the project is make sure that we have local contractors and, you know, people employed. So we'll be, once I hear back from the engineers on the sides that we can get locally demoed, we'll get that demoed to tender immediately as well and hopefully get that out within the next week. And that's just because we've got to be careful with the abatement issue. So we were hiring the right people to get rid of the abatement first and then the demo stuff. So we don't want to send someone in there and then do a demolition on something that they're not allowed to touch, for example. So or the other alternative, so we just hire the abatement crew that gets hired on to do the abatement to do that demo as well, and it's get done. So, but we're gonna come back with pricing on that. They do have the costs for renovation for all three buildings coming. I talked to the engineer about that today. They're basically on the last part of it, just getting the electrical figured out. So they were on the finalization of that today, and the HVAC is one of the other things that they had to get sorted out. So HVAC, they're figuring it'll be pretty straightforward and simple. It doesn't need to be engineered, so they're just gonna drop that part. It's good. Basically what I asked for was 4 walls of roof in the floor. I didn't ask for anything with offices. We didn't ask for anything fancy. We just wanted open space
Right.
to get going. We tentatively have all the 4 buildings are spoken for businesses that have approached and asked about it. So, when we go in closed session, like closed session, I'll explain the 4 businesses that'll be there. Nothing's obviously in concrete yet because the contract's been signed because we don't have space to sign off. We're not gonna do false contracts with anyone, but part of the grant would be to provide these spaces at a lower rate to get them going and get them set up, established, and hopefully encourage them to grow bigger.
Yeah.
And then push them out after a while once they can stand on their own 2 feet, bring some other businesses in, so. They're all fully aware of that and they're all eager to go. Other side of this, we probably will have to have a special meeting once we get some of the contractor tender bids in to get those finalized and approved by council, because they can't move forward without council approval. So we'll probably be looking at the next 2 weeks for a special meeting. But as soon as I have those numbers, I'll let you guys know and get that sent out for a date, so. Probably gonna be looking at probably next week is my guess at this point, but the sooner we can get them done, the better, so. Yeah, that's kind of the update and rundown of CCTI grant. If you guys have any questions for it.
This time.
Yeah, probably not at this time, I don't know.
Get back some, see if we get some solid numbers back. We can make a plan to have a special meeting and have the conversations.
And then one thing I might add too is with these costs coming back, they're gonna have included architectural design costs with that as well.
Right.
So it'll be kind of, this is what it's gonna cost you, the contractor come do A, B, and C.
Which is what we need.
Yeah, so, if I had to guess, we're probably looking at around 250 to 300,000 each at this rate, knowing what we have in front of us right now, but again, some of that's gonna fluctuate depending on what the abatement contractors come back with cost and demolition costs, so that's kind of the. So. I know we have also with the engineers, we've already started approaching contractors locally and abroad to try and make them aware of this project so that once those tenders go out, we can get a quick tender turnaround.
Mhm.
We're not sitting and waiting. So, I know there's 2 contractors that said they would make this a top priority project to get it done, so.
Sounds good.
Good. Make a
We
motion.
can get the ones that people are wanting to move into done first.
That's the,
That's it.
They can be in before Christmas.
Yep. And that
that's where my mind's going to.
Fingers crossed. The hope is to get all the,
Hopefully this fall, but I mean,
Yeah,
it takes longer and
it does, yeah.
sooner the better, for sure. Yeah. And finding the notes that we're not as bad as we thought we were, that was good news.
That is good news.
I nearly fell off my chair when they told me I only had $5,000 worth of abatement to do if I was just renovating in the Mason building. I was like, excuse me.
Well, like when we talked, I think it's so bad here because of the cinder block walls. right?
Yeah, and the cinder walls.
Like I say, as long as you're not touching them,
and
they can stay there.
all the walls and all three buildings have to evacuate, so.
Yeah.
As long as it's not disturbed, it's fine. I mean, we've got it in other buildings and it's never been an issue unless you touch it.
as long as you leave it there, it stays there.
But like you say, where the vents and stuff, where there's the spots you'd have to.
Yeah. And the lead paint in front of the Wild Rose building, that kind of thing. It's gonna be stripped and bagged and. The windows with all the caulking and the sills and the paint and so. They just figured, it's just easier to replace the window than trying to salvage them all, so.
Well, and when you're really.
Well, they're old windows anyway.
Efficiency wise.
They're not efficient at all, so
With the price of heat and everything,
Yeah.
it's smart to just change them.
I can make a motion that we accept this as information for now.
Mark moves, we accept CCTIF project update and request as information for now. All in favor? Carried.
The other motion that I will need to do is continue with the tendering of a.
I'll move to continue to
I've
tender.
already started, but we just continue 4 months.
Ron moves, we continue with abatement and renovations. All in favor?
Working on design and development. So,
Everything included.
keep going.
Next day.
Great.
Pushing hard to
Great,
get.
that, we're so close.
Waiting for it for how many years?
Exactly.
From our delegate, or you just keep already on going?
You should be here soon, but.
Yeah, he's just driving from concert, so maybe we'll just keep going until he gets.
Down to new business, 9.1, 2024 tax sale date.
Okay, so we're just getting into the prelim side of setting up a date, so it'll be between mid-October to end of October. I would like to try and get something solidified for. Probably after the 15th and for the. Boston 31st, I guess. We'll probably have to steer away from the 21st. Cause that'll be a pretty long night already with the organizational meeting. A regular council meeting, so. And then also part of this would be to approve the terms and conditions, which would be the exact same as what they were last council. Motion for the 2023 auction. To the properties that are on roll that are delinquent.
Third day that works better for you for this auction?
Usually Wednesdays or Thursdays are probably best.
Well, put it in my calendar now. It's in my calendar and that's my priority, I guess, right? So do you tell me what day works for you?
So if we could do the 16th or 17th.
For you?
Or the 23rd or 24th would be best.
Of which month, sorry?
October.
October?
Now, this will also depend on the auctioneer too, because we still have to get them brought down, but. I'll try and get those as my preferential days.
23rd, I
Say, why do you figure out which works for him first? 'Cause
Yeah. That's true.
without one of them, we can't set a date, really.
That's true.
If we could, maybe if we could just approve that anytime between the 15th and first and
Yeah,
that,
I'll do that.
the council know.
I'll make that a motion.
Because we don't have to be here for that, right? No. I've never.
The council doesn't have to be here at all.
Yeah, so
Between which days, Quinta?
15th of October to 31st.
Okay.
We have in here that you wanted to schedule between October 25th.
Yeah, it was
and 30th.
Yeah, I think we should be okay with the 15th and 30th.
New recommendation.
Mark moved between October 15th and 30 and October 31st for the tax sale date. All in favor? Carried. Okay. back up to our delegations. Are you
Just
ready?
before we move on there, I also need a motion to present, to present the terms and conditions of the sale for the 24 public auction, that they're approved. And that the addition for all tax recovery to the relevant rules is hereby approved. So that we can get them in the Alberta Gazette.
Right. I can do that too.
Mark makes a motion. All in favor?
Their wording, which
What you have written right there.
yeah,
I did recite that one.
very complicated way of reading. I'm like, this makes no sense, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
You good?
thank you. That covers that.
Probably do reports quick too.
Yep, give them time to finish. Yeah.
My report's back.
Mine is too.
Are you ready to go, or do you need a few more minutes? Because we can move on to something else if you'd like. Can we? Absolutely, you betcha. Go down to 10.1, council reports. I'll start with Cody.
I went to Palliser Economic Partnership meeting with Quentin there a couple weeks ago. And I'll let you take over that for what went on there.
So yeah, we had been introduced, we were formally brought into the Palliser Economic Partnership Group with the meeting dates, and so we are official members. And Councillor Hilmer is now also the Secretary of Palliser Economic Partnership as well. He got a full and total job at the same time. So
You know, I wanted you to go, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
so they are working on the East Central trade corridors. They're trying to revitalize that with the 3 Ritas and trying to get that back up and running. They are also working on a large scale infrastructure project that will be announced later and talked a little bit more once it's public knowledge. They are working with the Highway 3 corridor with and how right now they've actively gotten funding for that to expand that, and then they're also looking at the Kicking Horse entry. They're working on trying to get that revitalize that program with Montana to get that there and that border crossing open 24 hours. So there's a lot of good work. They are also working with a lot of renewable energies. They're working with a lot of the ag societies as well and ag. So they have incorporated a lot of the counties into their projects as well with wind and solar. But they are also doing a primarily focus on urban with housing and housing needs. They've been very active in advocating to the provincial government about getting more funding for municipalities to do these types of projects and this work. And they've had a lot of success in conversations so far. So all in all, I think it's going to be a pretty good path forward and good partnerships. They are also looking at going back to South Korea next year for some more values for exports. So they're looking at for any farmers or anyone that's looking to export product that they're making here to go to South Korea. So they will be sending a delegation next year. They were asked to come this year, but they just didn't feel they didn't have enough time to prepare for it. So they're going to work harder this year to get all that stuff together and then go over to South Korea and have that conversation. So last year they had done the same thing, but in Japan, and made a lot of connections in Japan with investors and consumers there that were looking for products out of Canada. So they're going to be doing the same thing to South Korea next year. And they will be asking for some municipalities to send some of their bodies with to be part of the delegation. So I think one of the members might be asked to do that. So, yeah, I think that's the gist of what that press meeting was. They're mainly also focusing on trying to make sure all municipalities are getting projects updated and getting them out to their REITs to make sure that we're doing as much as we can to get some funding out of the provincial government and federal government while we can. So.
Yeah, there's a library meeting. I think Brett, you made it to. I'm just unavailable for work, and there's a victim services meeting tomorrow. That's all I got.
Brett?
I don't know much either. I couldn't remember if we talked about the block. We had a meeting before that, didn't we? Yeah. So obviously attended the block party. It was an excellent turnout. Thanks to the organizers, all the sponsors and the community for coming out and joining. I'm still hearing positive feedback about it. And it's been 2 weeks. Or over 2 weeks. July 3rd, Matt and I attended Peps. Not a whole lot there either. There was no more updates as far as the bat. Except they're still very interested. The total Bex, oh my God, I can't even talk. The total Peps bucks that were sold to date this year was $18,725 worth. So kind of exciting knowing that that is being spent in the region. The pop-up booth is doing very well, and we've had a few people come forward, Robin Cole locally, and what was his name? Drugstore from Castor. Anyways, they've come forward. Robin's willing to do some painting, I believe, on the exterior, and he had suggested maybe some flooring or something on the inside. So we were excited to hear that.
Carrie.
That's about it. I missed a wellness meeting, but that's all I got.
Oh, made it to the Rock the Block party and helped set up some popcorn and drying out from the dunk tank. It's a lot of fun. I won't blame Bonnie demolition for it, but she was pretty eager to get in there. I think they did a really well job of planning it and getting people on board, and they say 325 hamburgers and 180 hot dogs, and they were gone. But it was a great thing. Also made the July 1st party in the park. It's kind of a theme here. It's a good celebration, had over 300 people, and after the initial rain was good weather, and they had lots to do there for kids and bobbing for apples and loonies and toonies, and you think about it, bobbing for a loony on the bottom. Not the easy part. But yeah, they were trying, they had lots of food there too, so it was really good. Went to Brioc, had the CCTIF news conference in Wabamun. It was kind of interesting for there. Went to FCSS retirement party for Dan Schmidt, in appreciation of many years of service to the community, both in her job and things she did for people who needed help over and above her job. Coronation District Wellness Society discussed admitting under 18-year-olds into the gym on a case-by-case basis. Coronation District Seniors Housing Society had an online meeting just on reinvesting the few GICs we have as they come due. Had a concerned citizen noticed a mural on the new grocery store was starting to chip, and they're wondering if we could get it redone or get them freshened up.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that and see if that gentleman that came last time is available still, or if he's not. I did talk to a lady today that is a mural artist as well, and will send me her information, so.
We talked about having them kind of refreshed every so many years to keep that protective coating onto these things.
Yeah.
So they kind of,
Yeah, we talked about every 10 years, but this one seems to be flaking out a lot.
that's probably.
Face is dead south, right?
I wonder if it got redone when they did the rest, didn't it?
Yeah.
But it is straight to the south, so it gets the most heat on.
Probably needs more attention.
Yeah.
Attention more regularly.
No, just nice to get it refreshed before they start falling apart.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely reach out and see what I can.
That's it.
Yes, Mark.
They really don't have much of anything. A couple meetings I was slated to have were rescheduled, canceled. I wasn't able to make it to either of the block party or the Canada Day one or Diane's retirement. It's just, it's been a little crazy
Yeah.
in life right now, but
Okay. Summer,
well, that and
everything else.
the changeover with the changeover, yeah. So hopefully things are gonna start to settle down.
Well, sounds good. I also attended the block party. I took my turn. I did try to convince your boy to take my turn on the dunk tank, but he was not willing. A lot of fun, like Ron and Brett had said, very well received. So big thank you to those individuals involved. I did get to the Canada parade party in the park. I went down, helped set up, and honored to represent the community and say a blurb and not get too shaky before the end of it this time, so we get a little better every time. I do apologize. I meant to come back. I ended up at Coronation Industrial making hoses, so by the time I got done, it was But quarter 2 was pretty oily and I just said, you know what, it's home time. So,
I just told that you had something to eat.
yeah, that's fair. I stole one of Lily's, so we were good. I just attended PEP's meeting with Brett July 3rd. He summed up everything that happened then. It's dog days of summer, so hopefully hear back about that vet clinic soon. A little bit going on the golf course. I talked to the president of the board here on Friday. They're doing some work on some alkali patches and some cart paths. And I had a minor sports meeting. Hockey registration's closed. Numbers are pretty good. A few pickups still to iron out, but it's looking pretty good. 3Cs is looking to do a hockey day in each town as a fundraising effort outside of the hockey day or the sports day we already do in the winter. So it'll be a little bit more traction hopefully in town. U11 just hosted ball this past weekend, so town was sure popping and campground was busy and good to see everybody in town.
Positive feedback about that one.
Yep, I did too, yeah. Batting cage is fully functional. Thanks to all those that went out and helped and volunteered and all that. Soccer registration mid-August. That's that.
Motion to accept our reports.
Mark moves to accept council reports. All in favor? Carried.
Want to just do my report quick and on that, and we can go straight into closed session after.
We still have accounts payable.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
Finance after.
10.2 CO report.
Okay, so just an update with the stay and play program. I talked to Jackie and she had handed out all the passes for this year, so she's received another 70 and more coming, so. The
Nice.
program's been working out really well up there. We're doing really good up this year. It's been packed and we're gonna have a family reunion from now until mid-August, so the campground on the weekends is gonna be.
Yeah.
Good.
I was out there for the kids can catch for the Elks for 4 hours and we heard nothing but good things about your camp attendant out there. So I'm
Yes.
sure that gets back to her. She's very, very appreciated. That's for sure.
When I drove through, I think Saturday, and I think there was 3 spots in the whole campground that weren't talking.
And it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've been working pretty good with her this year, so she's,
You had any concerns about the online registering?
yeah, we're working on that. There
'Cause I
was-
have had some feedback with that.
Yeah, no, we've had some issues with that. Jackie and I talked about it, so we've kind of reverted back to the old system.
That's the only concern I've heard again.
But we'll have to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't think it's just us. I was trying to book sites online at a couple of different
Yeah.
communities. I don't know I can't remember what site,
Platform.
what platform it was, but I had to phone in
Yeah,
Ashen Way.
it's been a little bit weird this year for some reasons. Changed in there or not, but
But yeah, it's something to look into for sure.
if it's not for us, it's not for us. We'll find.
That's right. Yeah.
I just got an update today. I have a meeting for the rural renewal stream, hopefully next week. They did want to meet with me on Friday, but I'm not here on Friday. I have an Alberta Municipalities Infrastructure meeting. Have to be at and attend, so, sounds like we're doing pretty good on the rural renewal stream stuff. It's just a matter of getting that, last phase of the, I think the interview part is kind of how they call it, done, and I think that's what they're calling about, so. Pretty excited about that because everything was handed in on time and, well, I guess there's no really timeline, but it was happening and, we haven't any complaints about the application itself, so. And that's a shout out to, Jeff and Ray Lynn Callaway, helped out with that quite a bit, and Kirk Cole. I was gonna bring up the mural painting today as well, so I did run into a lady that's looking to move to Coronation that paints for a living and she works remotely, she said, so she was interested in having a conversation. She was gonna get back to me about that. But I still will try and seek out that gentleman that did do the murals last time. 'Cause we did like his work and he was pretty quick, so. The municipal map review is concluded. It's been, haven't found any issues. We've been able to get through all of our bylaws and review, so. We'll have probably a year off and then they'll probably remap us, which is fine. So it's a good exercise and they've gone through everything. So just with the new legislation updates, we'll probably be reaching out to them actually this time to ask to review our stuff to make sure it's up to speed and correct. And but other than that, the provincial government's happy with their documents as they stand today. Sidewalk repair, walking path. So I did have a conversation with the golf course today. They didn't expect any damages to the walking path, but because there is heavy equipment going over the walking path, they are going to deal with those problems. So if someone does complain about it, golf course is going to be aware of it, and they've said they'll take full ownership of that and repairing and fixing those. And they're gonna do that when they do their cart paths.
Right.
So once they're paving that and doing that work, they're gonna get that cleaned up as well, if there's any damages that need to be done, so. We'll be working with them on that as well, so it was really nice of them to reach out to us before we had to, so, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Had a couple meetings with investors for some various projects, two of which we'll have to talk to Callan to do the confidentiality on them for now. We'll come back to the public once we have the ability to talk about third party interests. Swimming pool, I did reach out to Michael Simpson, the CAO of County of Penrith, and we had a good chat about applying for the ACPO grant, which we'll also talk about during the delegation, about applying for that $200,000 grant to move forward with some of the project work that needs to be done. So they will be discussing that tomorrow at their council meeting for approval on the APCO grant application for us to submit. So the grant has been, I've asked the grant writer to get that all prepared and ready. So as once we have approvals, we can get that submitted because the grant portal is open right now. We don't want to miss the timing and we don't want to miss the deadline because it's, I believe, September is the closing date, but we're ready to submit it. So
Good.
and we were able to kind of work with them and figure out how that grant needs to be. We're kind of ahead of the game on that. So, other than that, it's been kind of mainly kind of get everything caught up with the auditors. The audit is complete. They're just getting it reviewed and finalized and approved. Once it's approved, we'll have that. So next council meeting, they were going to try and get it to this council, but I just felt it was a little bit too rushed. So they'll be presenting on August 12th, our regular meeting of council then. We'll have Peter Stone and one of his associates come and present the audited financials to the municipality for the 2023. I did reach out to MPE. We had a good conversation about all of our projects, and the airport has been tendered out. We will know right away here what the tenders are. So again, that'll be something that will get approved and get moving on immediately. So that won't be brought to council. It'll just be approved at this point. Get moving on that. We will make council aware of what's going on and who it is and what timing that we have. So we will be providing that through to council by email. Just as the motion that was made before was to get it done, so it will be done. With the CCTIF, provided that update, but we're moving quickly on that and trying to make sure that we can contractors in as soon as possible. The road paving deficiencies, that's going to be hopefully done here right away. Just with the delays, other projects they haven't been able to get here as soon as they had hoped, and obviously they've been set back quite a few weeks now. So yeah, I think that's it for my report. Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to accept your report as presented.
Brett makes a motion to accept the CAO report as presented. All in favor? Five delegations. 5.1 Western Recreation.
Just before we get started, we also get a motion to move further than the 15 minutes that's allocated on each bylaw.
right.
Because this will be.
I'll make a motion.
30 minutes.
Cody moves, we extend the 15-minute delegation. All in favor? Carried.
Right, so thank you very much for inviting me out here today.
Gotcha. Thank you for coming.
Sorry you couldn't make the last one. I had a family function that night, so I wasn't gonna be able to make it in time.
Understandable.
I guess a little background about Western Recreation. We've been building municipal and commercial swimming pools for the better part of 30 years. And a lot of them Saskatchewan and Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta. Ones that are, I guess, close around here would be Mooseland, we did a couple of years ago. We did the Bible Camp in Mooseland. We did Consort a few years ago as well. And what we have come up with is a swimming pool system that has a crawl space that goes around the entire perimeter of the pool. So it makes all of our plumbing, a lot of our fittings, just about everything is accessible from any aspect. Really simple to fix, really easy to operate. Any design is possible, twists, turns, curves, whatever we're looking for. We can locate a bunch of, some of the pumps can be located in that crawl space as well, because we know that the footprint in the mechanical room is always limited. So we have the ability to move some of our equipment around and locate them really from traditionally where they would be in the mechanical room. Our swimming pool walls are galvanized and powder coated. And they have one side of the wall is where the water and then the PVC membrane that lines the pool sits. So they're up there. And then the other side is where the ground is backfilled to. And between those two wall panels is a 4 foot by 4 foot crawl space, access and repairs and
Mhm.
just makes it really easy to get to just about anything. So I know there was some issues this year and, you know, in that case, there wouldn't be a lot of issues because you would see where the problem is. You can see what's leaking. You can go in there and fix it. You don't need to be a plumber. You don't need to be a mechanical tradesman that to get in there and do it. So just about anybody can go in there that has any sense of, you know, plumbing.
Yep.
Can go in there and fix it. So we are, our head office is in Winnipeg. We have a regional office in Raymore, Saskatchewan, just north of Regina. We used to have an office in Lethbridge. We've since closed that down, but we still work remotely across the prairies. So if we're not here, we're close enough here that we can, you know, get to whatever we need to get to in a reasonable amount of time. Parts we try to source so that they're not proprietary equipment, and just about anywhere you can find it, get it, where it be, whether it be sump pumps or skimmers or pumps or whatever the case may be. We really work hard to make it user friendly. The equipment that we put in is a lot of it is automated, whether it be chemical controls and addition of the chlorine into the pool or water leveling systems, things like that. We try to take user error out of the equation. You still have to check to make sure that the tanks where the chlorine is stored is full. But as for operating and injecting the chlorine, that's typically done just by itself. It takes care of itself. And, you know, we're a small family-run company. It's in the third generation of ownership now, and we take a lot of pride in what we do, whether it be the guys on site or me in the office or traveling around what needs to do. You can go to the job site anytime, and anybody at the job site can walk you around and explain what's going on, because we self-perform all the work ourselves, whether it be the concrete or the plumbing or the liner installation. It's our technicians that are putting that in.
Okay.
We can hire outside trades. We typically leave that to be something that's really not specific, whether it be, you know, flat work concrete, if it's the perimeter concrete around the deck or something like that, that needs to get done. Otherwise, it's our staff and it's our employees that are doing that installation themselves. And typically we'll start in the fall when it's the driest. We know what the weather's going to be like, and we finish the following spring. So we start in, you know, middle to the end of August, and we finish the following July, early July, July 1st. It's all weather dependent. This year we were really lucky. Last year we were really lucky because winter didn't really start until Christmas just about. So we got a real head start on our work for the next year. And then we finished, you know, a couple of weeks earlier than we expected to in two of the projects that we're finishing up right now. So right now we've got two jobs that we're commissioning, I believe, in the next 2 weeks. One is going to be a little later because there was a bit of a delay on their building. And then we've got 3 jobs already scheduled for this fall, finishing next spring. So I think we've got 2 spaces left for starting fall of 25. We don't take on more work than we can do.
Mhm.
We had some hiccups years ago, and we learned our lessons. So we just try to focus on you know, just the number that our employees can do ourselves. So it's a little about us and how we do things. And and how we go about it. So the conversations that we've had, the preliminary discussions that we've had is you know, you don't necessarily need a 25-meter competition pool. If there's no competitions going on here, we can shorten that up. Beach entries are always great. I would say 95% of the pools we do are beach entries. The one exception was this one in southern Alberta where they had two separate pools. Where they had a leisure pool, a leisure tide pool, and then they had the lap pool in the back. Beach entries are really good because it's accessible for just about anybody. There was a project we did in Saskatchewan a number of years ago, and there were some older ladies that had some mobility issues. And they haven't been able to get in the pool for a number of years, and they're so excited they kicked off their shoes and socks and they walked in ankle deep because it's the first time they've been in the pool in 20 years. So we take a lot of pride in that. When we start the job, it's our guys that will move in here. We'll typically look for a house to rent or look for somewhere to stay. We'll bring a couple of campers with us and we're always on site. We're always here and we're here from the beginning right to the end. As different aspects of the job that we don't do, that we try not to do, is going to be the demolition and excavation. Hopefully there's somebody locally that can do that. That being said, we're on site while the excavation is being done so that it's done to our specs, it's done to our size so that you don't have to call them back and bring them back a second time. We try to stay out of site services, so gas, electrical, water, sewer. We try to keep out of that. At the same time, we're there and we work with the trades who are there to make sure that the water is where we need it to be and the sewer lines are where we need it to be. So again, you know, we're on site from start to finish and even typically it's a week after it's done just to make sure there's no hiccups. There's always stuff that comes up, especially when it's a new facility or a renovated facility versus a new facility. There's always some, you know, hiccups or questions or whatever it might be, and we don't try to make it painless, you know, a painless handoff, so everybody understands what's going on. And a little about us and how we do things. Yeah.
Says here it's about 50-year life expectancy, roughly. Like,
I can honestly say I don't remember us ever having to replace the pool ever. But what always goes first is gonna be the liner.
Yeah.
Now, the liner's got a 10-year warranty on it. So if anything happens, manufacturer or installation defect within the first 10 years, we come out and we fix it and there's no cost to anybody. If it's somebody cuts it with a knife or throws something into the pool and it cuts it, then that's not warranted, but typically it's quick enough for us to come out here and fix it. Everything is heat welded, similar to a roofing membrane where it comes on, the liner comes on rolls. And we put an underlay that's a separation between the concrete and the bottom of the liner. So if there is any moisture underneath there, it wicks it to the sump pit.
Okay.
And then we put the liner on. So we see that the liner is custom installed because it's again, it's on rolls. And we roll it out. There's a bit of an overlap and our installers are literally on their hands and knees with heat guns going along and welding everything down the length of the pool, all the walls. Around any steps or any twists or turns or vortexes or water features that might be in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just explain the water features of.
Yeah, so this is a good one here. So there are some, instead, we try to incorporate as much fun into the pools as we can. So we'll do either water umbrellas or tipping buckets, water slides. With the beach entry, there's always a gutter on the beach entry to catch any of the debris, the leaves or grass or whatever there might be to stop it from going into the pool. We have little geysers, whether it be little pot slides and things like that. Any of that can be incorporated into the pool design, but we try to pack as much in there without it being too much. You know, I know my youngest, he doesn't like those big tippy buckets because it always seems to knock him backwards, but the umbrellas are really nice because it's almost a sheet of water that comes down and the kids like to kind of go in the middle there and hide from it and yeah, a lot of fun.
And then you guys do like splash parks as well?
Yeah.
So that could be.
I kind of like how this is on. In them.
I don't like incorporating splash pads into the pool because a lot of times guys are unsupervised.
Yep.
So if there's a fouling in the pool and you're sharing in the water, then it's contaminated both. Try to keep them both separately. If it's a pool, it's a little different. With, in the case of a tot pool, so in this one specifically, there's a little tot pool that's right at the beach entry of the pool. That's more for the kids in diapers, the really little kids. So if they've got older brothers and sisters that are maybe taking swimming lessons, they can go and sit in there. We do have a system on the tot pool where it's a quick dump, so you can isolate the tot pool because 9 times out of 10, that's where the accidents are gonna be. So we have a system where you close one valve and you open the other and it drains the top pool out, gets rid of that contaminated water before it overflows into the main body of water. And sanitize it, do whatever you need to do, and then reverse the valves the other way. It fills everything back up and you're back operating relatively quickly.
Mhm.
The really nice thing again with our double wall panel system in the crawl space is if there isn't funding or if there isn't a budget for the water slide right now, we can come back and we can put it in later. That's going to be a lot easier than trying to tie into, a concrete pool or a prefab pool or something like that. We just have to make a decision if it's going to go in now, if it's going to go in later, and what do we have to put in place because the wall where the water slide comes in is different from the rest of the wall. But if we know that that's going to happen, then we can have everything ready to go. So when the time comes, it makes it painless, a lot easier. Now, we were talking about hot tubs. I'm not a fan of hot tubs, but I understand that hot tub is a big thing here. We do hot tubs all the time. Most of the hot tubs that we do, they're prefab, so they're drop-in acrylic fiberglass shell hot tubs. Again, that would be a separate mechanical system altogether so that if something happens in the hot tub, it doesn't contaminate the rest of the pool.
Is that how our current one is? Sorry, is that how our current one is? It is?
Yeah, it's a two. Yeah, they are two separate systems.
So we have the system for hot tub and.
We have the infrastructure, yeah.
Well, and again, we've been doing this for a really long time and we understand how budgets are. So if there is any of the equipment that we could take from the old pool and carry it over to the new pool, as long as it's sized properly and if it works with the new installation, then we can definitely do it. That's what they did in Consort. They had their old heater. They took their heater out. We put the new heater in. We connected to the heater and everything was running back up.
I've just kind of replaced all that, the heater and the.
Yeah, like a lot of our infrastructure is 10 years old, so. And some of it's less than 5, so. Like our chlorine filtration system is only a couple of years old. We only did that, I think in 2020, so. Some of that stuff can be transitioned over. Where the challenge, I believe, in pressure sample, there's one of the things that we would have to look at that is kind of the costly side, but it's also depending on the pool and the type of pool size.
Very
It
specific.
may need to be added on to or replaced, so.
You may need a separate tank or they might not be, I guess, up to current standards. So, but we could look at all of that for sure and we could figure that out relatively quick.
So why don't you like hot tubs?
I don't like hot tubs because if it's my hot tub, then I have a lot more control over who's in there and what's happening in there. If it's a public hot tub, the first thing kids do in a hot tub. And
Let her go.
I don't go into public hot tubs. I understand how it is and I like them. I just don't like the public.
Can you kind of speak on the pricing side of it a little bit?
Yeah, so we were talking again preliminarily and something, we took a Google Maps shot and came up with a real general idea of what would work in our preliminary budget for something to fit or replace what you have would be somewhere around the 1.3 million dollars. But I think there's opportunities to potentially make it a little less expensive, but then you would lessen the pool at the same time. Again, you don't need to go with a 25-meter pool, which is 82 feet. You can go with a 70-foot pool. That's gonna, cut some costs there. Maybe instead of 6 lanes, we go with 3 lanes and there's a cost savings there too, but I don't think it'll get to the point where to the budget that we were talking, but I don't think we'd be able to get there, but there's potentially some cost savings for sure. One of the things that really big on is, we call it design build. So we put it on the onus of the contractor to come up with the design, do all the engineering, do all the construction drawings for the swimming pool. And then we would hand you over shovel-ready drawings that, there's a lot of grants that come out that are, it's almost like the final push to get all the funding in place.
Okay.
So if it was the design build and we were hired as a design contractor for the swimming pool, we would come up again with those engineer drawings. We would come up with a service building to the point where the number of toilet sinks and showers meet the bather load based on the Alberta Health Services. And not to say that the pool has to be, or the building has to meet the bather load of the pool, but that's the maximum bather load that you can put through that pool. So if there's less lifeguards or if the fewer facilities, then you would just reduce your bather load by that number. And then so we would come up with the design. In the past, we've broken out the design separate from construction. And we would call it design contract versus a construction contract. And design contracts would typically be around $100,000 for all the design drawings. And then at the end of it, we would come up with something similar to that, just a 3D rendering. You can put it around town, put it wherever you're looking to really start generating that interest. The color of the slides can change, the color of the umbrella can change, things like that. But as for the layout, that would be specific to that pool. That would be yours would be your property, and do whatever you put it up wherever you need it to go. And then if we were awarded the construction contract, we would take the design, typically we would take that design fee off of the construction contract because the construction is all one big thing. The design is part of it. That's what we need to do to get the construction done. So it's not an additional charge. It's not like you're hiring an engineering firm to come in and do a master plan or something like that. But we've been doing it long enough that we know what the building needs to have based on the pool. We did the project in, I believe it was Foam Lake a number of years ago. And I think from when we started the design to when we got shovels in the ground, it was about 10 years. And they had enough money to get, I think, most of what they wanted. Not the water slide, not the building, not a few other things, but they were confident they could raise the money. And then it took them 10 years to do it, but they didn't want to piecemeal it all together and have us come back out and then leave, come back in a couple of years. They just held off and they waited till everything was done and they had everything ready to go, and we just got it all done in one shot.
So that rough estimate of 1.2 million, is that the pool and the building?
That would be just the pool.
Pool. Okay,
So from what I understand, though, the building is in relatively good condition.
yes.
Some upgrades or some renovations. Based on
Upgrading inside, but for the most part, the shell and the actual envelope of the winner, pretty good shape.
Yeah. So we'd have to look at the mechanical room based on the pool and how much you put in there, make sure that everything is gonna fit. If it doesn't, we can always, where we did in,
Can't where there's-
Boissevain is, so Boissevain, they had, their change room and their service building is on the far side there, and this was a separate mechanical room that they built. They needed a bigger change room to accommodate the bather load, so they just built a separate mechanical room, just for the pumps and the filters, the heaters, chemical storage, things like that.
So where our pool is there enough room to put a small splash park or spray park there as well?
I think if we were to take over some of the tennis courts, there could be room there, yeah. As for the actual area of the pool, the site of the pool, I don't think there'd be enough room there. Unless it was a very small.
I know there's that space between the pool and the tennis courts.
Yeah.
I don't, we wouldn't need a very big splash. What kind of costs are the spray parks?
There's two different kinds of splash pads. One of them, we call it a flow through, so the water comes in and sprays and then it just goes straight to waste. Another one uses a circulation tank, so it's always circulating, similar to a swimming pool. They, Health Services considers it the same as a swimming pool, so it has to have the same filtration rates, same chlorination rates, same everything else. And it's constantly circulating the water. Somebody hits the button and pulls the water from the tank, sprays it, and then drains back to the tank again, so you're reusing that water. It has a quicker turnover rate than the swimming pool because it's less water, less dilution.
Yeah.
But it works essentially the same way.
More expensive than the other style?
Oh, absolutely.
But less water.
Cost of water.
Yeah.
Oh, significantly, yeah, significant savings. I want to say that a mechanical system for a splash pad is probably around $125,000, you know, give or take. So I don't know what the cost of water and sewer is, but I know in Winnipeg, we did a study and it is going to pay itself off in about 3 years.
Yeah.
Versus just dumping the water to waste.
That's right. Any more questions, guys?
No.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to start doing shovel work till next fall.
Next fall.
So we'd have to make sure our pool can live through another year.
Yeah.
We'd have to talk to the health inspector to see if we're allowed to do that, depending on some of the criteria that she gave us this year. So I think she's open as long as there's a plan in place. She said she would work with us as much as she could, so.
And in all honesty, but sorry to interrupt you. In all honesty, between approvals and engineering, if we started right now to get engineering drawings and the engineers and the review, we send it off to the health department on your behalf. We keep everybody in the loop, but we send it off to the health department on your behalf. I think right now we're probably looking at the end of September before approvals are done. So we wouldn't be able to start this year anyways.
Okay, yeah.
And then if we started in the spring, you'd be down a whole summer anyways versus starting in the fall. You might lose a couple of weeks here and there versus.
No, that's right.
I guess that is a point to make that we could take out the pool early April, later April, May, lose a full season. Have it ready for the following season, or we could do a partial season next year, close earlier in August, and then, so we'd still be open. And then, hopefully be open, I'll say that.
Yeah.
And then move forward, but if it comes down to that the pool isn't able to be open, we could move forward sooner if we had the information and everything ready to go as well, so.
You have to get clarification from the county on our. Agreement, because.
Yep.
Did they not say on there if we shut a building for 12 months, they can quit funding it?
Yeah, that is in there, but I've talked to Michael Simpson and.
That would have to get it through there,
That's the CAO.
because that has to. We've seen that happen before.
So there would definitely have to be some conversations with the county as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's best if we kept it.
Yeah.
2 years.
I'd like to do the half.
And to get it done, we can be set next fall and.
That's right. I think it's the other thing to consider too, because it's split over 2 years, there, you can put half of it in the first year and.
Yeah.
You know, the second half in the second year, so I don't know if they consider that shut down a whole year or not, but. You know, it's close to a year.
Now, can you also facilitate public engagements as well for designs, like once?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure, we can set up a town hall and come out, and I try to, you know, I guess, limit the different options. Maybe we come up with a, you know, a set plan and say, do we want this water slide or this water slide versus what do you want? If we have some clear ideas, what everybody.
There's a couple of choices.
Yeah,
Oh, it's not like when you go into a grocery store and the pop, there's too many choices.
yeah, exactly.
But just have some idea, some input on what they're gonna get.
Yep, absolutely.
And ideally, like how long is that timeframe that you like to work with that?
Well, we're open, to be honest. I mean, if we can come up with a plan now and then we have sort of discussions, what everybody's looking for. I mean, it's not, you know, a huge place, so I'm sure if you asked around and, you know, got an idea from different residents and see what they're looking for. And we can come up with a couple of different ideas, you know, do we want an umbrella or do we want a bucket? Or do we want, again, this water slide or that water slide, you know, things like that. A pool is a pool, you know, a lap pool is a lap pool at the end of the day. It's a rectangle. The beach entry can be whether you have a vortex, lazy river, or the different spray features, but you know, a lap pool is a lap pool. You don't want to infringe on that too much because there are people that are on a swim laps. So
You have to have a lap pool for some of these certifications that kids are getting once they get to certain levels with their swim lessons, so.
yeah, and diving, there has to be a diving board. You know, it doesn't need to be a 3 meter giant diving board. It can just be a, you know, a deck level diving board. Like they've got bigger.
Here's one
Like this one here.
the middle
Yeah,
here.
and you know, it might.
Just basically what we-
off the ground and.
We got now, basically.
Yeah, basically what we got.
Got a really
About
great
10 inches
picture
off the
where
ground.
there's,
Right.
There's a lineup of people, you know, 5 or 6 people deep waiting to get down, waiting to get off the diving board, and there's about 30 people waiting to go down the water slide, so. You know, trading one for the other or you know, considering what's best.
So what did that pool basically right there in Bosavine, what kind of cost was that right there? Just for,
That one, I want to say was around. With the water slides, I want to say it was about 2.3,
okay,
something like that. But it's pretty big.
yeah, I see, yeah.
The one there, I'm not sure the name on it, it's got the black background, it's one of the ones you got, yeah, you pulled it up and showed us that. Yeah, it
This
looks,
would be something that I'd be leaning towards.
yeah, it looks very similar to
That's-
the layout as,
yeah, ours, I thought, yeah, a little.
and like that,
Looks a little bigger on the.
it does, yeah.
Size, but
Yeah,
It absolutely. Mind you, ours kind of curves back to. Doesn't it go down on the kid's side and then curve back just a
A
little?
little bit, but not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what was something like that one worth?
roughly worth.
this one I would have to check and have to let you know on that one.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I don't quite remember how big this one was.
And then maybe a little splash park or spray park.
Yeah, if we have that
Green spaces.
area with the umbrella and other things, we maybe wouldn't.
Like I say, maybe we'll have to just incorporate in the pool.
You know, we could put a couple of different sprays in here. It doesn't have to be just a single umbrella. Maybe it's an umbrella over here and a spray tee or a bucket or something. on
And a
this.
kid slide or something, and then you don't need a splash park. It's still accessible for young.
Yeah.
Which I think today we have our wants.
Oh, wow.
We can.
Yeah. And then we still make.
What it means is actually good on their beach entry because they've got the umbrella here, they've got a little spray tee over here, they've got a little tot slide on the side here. With the
That's
little
good.
tot pool in the middle here. There's little geysers on both sides at the beach entry where that gutter is. So it kind of incorporates everything, you know, try to roll it all in together. Again, that way you don't have the separate infrastructure, the separate
Yes,
mechanical
exactly.
systems that you need for a separate.
The extra $100,000 cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, thank you for.
Mhm.
Oh, my pleasure.
Coming out and showing all these kids lots of options and lots to think about.
Yeah, I mean, again, options are endless. It really depends on what's gonna fit to the site and how much you want to encroach on the other areas, you know, the tennis courts or whatever it is, so. We can come up with something that'll work, whether it's something like consorts where it's, you know, essentially it's a rectangle where you come down one side and then you horseshoe down to the lap section on the other side. Or if it's more of an L shape and you want to have a little bit of separation, a little bit more green space.
Oh, that sounds good. You got any more questions?
No. Are you guys having in the build right now?
Yeah, we've got 2 in Saskatchewan and, 2 in Manitoba and 1 in Saskatchewan, and then next year we've got 3 in Saskatchewan. So even what the other thing it might be a benefit for you is if maybe we took a trip out to Consort at some point and I can walk you around and I can show you, because pictures are great, but if you actually see it.
That's what I was kind of thinking when I asked.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
And then you can, you know, jump in the crawl space and
I
you.
really like that idea of the.
I do too. Absolutely.
Cause look what happened to us this year. Like if we had that, that would just been. So awesome.
And a lot of times when it comes to the, you know, the rendering part of it and we have this, you know, posted around town and everybody knows that something is coming and here's what it's gonna look like, then. You know, maybe you won't be as upset if you have to close down a little bit earlier, knowing that you're gonna get this fantastic looking.
I would hope they'd understand.
Yeah,
I think that's the benefit of not closing down for a full year too, is you get it for a piece here and then you get it again for a piece next year. And honestly, with all we're going on and our tourism and our campground, the pool's a big part of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Walking distance.
And if
there.
you're close the pool for a week or two,
Yeah. End of the
on
summer.
one hand, it's a lot better than doing it all summer.
Yeah.
So when you were explaining concerts design, is it kind of like this picture?
just like the red slide on it.
Yeah.
Very similar to this one. This is loose. This one's actually loose land like this. Consort has got a little, one of those lazy rivers in the
Yeah.
corner. But, you know,
It's similar to that.
Same kind of horseshoe. They were a little bit stuck with how much land they had available because they had the road here, there's a road on the backside.
Yeah.
Instead of half in the middle of the park.
Well,
So we had to take out what was there and come up with something that fits, and I think we got pretty close. There's a little bump out where the water slide is.
Mhm.
But it works out pretty good. I think we actually ended up putting in a little playground or something on the side there,
okay,
so.
cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely. If there's any questions or if you wanted me to come back, let me know and I'll
Absolutely. Yeah.
do my best to have no birthdays that day.
Sometimes family just has to come first. And say something.
Council wanted to go visit consort with him, what would be the best timing for you and I guess for council, I guess to kind of make sure that we get that.
Honestly, I just need a few weeks' notice.
Yep.
Whatever works for everybody, we can make our way back up there.
Would you be all right with an evening or would you prefer probably a day? Cause you're the one traveling.
Honestly, I just need.
Yeah.
I'd probably leave the night before and then meet you guys up there and we can make a day of it or afternoon or morning or
Okay.
whatever works for you guys. They're pretty accommodating. I was there this afternoon and talked to everybody there, so.
So weekend would work for you?
Weekend?
I'm just saying, because these guys work.
Yeah, that's why I was.
Unless it's a Wednesday, or I guess unless it's a Tuesday, I'll be in concert for work.
There you go.
So yeah, Tuesday morning or a Wednesday afternoon, but then we're, like I say, we're limited on who
Yeah.
can get there. So.
Yeah, we could work something out for sure.
Even if it was early evening, like even, you know. But, okay, no, I appreciate the
I
flexibility.
usually figure that out.
Figure a time and show out.
Absolutely.
Come-
Let me know and we'll figure it out for sure. Whether it's weekend, weekday or.
Thank you.
That sounds good. Thank you and.
And pictures up so people can actually see them. We have slides.
I'll put the website out, so you guys have a website that.
Yeah, just waterparks.ca. And we got a whole.
Then the general public can have a look at some.
Your projects on there. I think there's a couple of links to, Facebook and Twitter and things like that. You can check out a bunch
Yeah, I'll
of.
get that posted. I'll put it on the actual website. I'll make a new tab for swing.
Yep.
Track that. More information.
That's right.
Oh, good.
I just gotta find some money. Not some, a lot of money.
Information at this time.
Yeah, we could set the presentation at this time and then I'll need, to move forward with the APCO grant. I'll need, permission from council to move forward with that as well. And that'll be in conjunction with the county painters, which will, they'll be, talking about this tomorrow. And hopefully approving the APCO grant application as well, so we can get that moving as soon as possible.
I'll make the first motion. This is information.
That moves Western Recreation presentation as information. All in favor? Carried.
Motion for all that other stuff you said after.
Right. Thank you.
Drive safe.
You betcha. Have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Have a safe trip, yeah.
Cody motions to proceed with the ACP grant to cover the design and funding. All in favor? Carried. One accounts payable. We advertise in the concert enterprise?
No, that's for envelopes and we get.
Okay. I got you.
Stationary, I should call it.
That's where we get the business cards and all that kind of stuff.
Correct, yeah.
Excuse me.
Do you have any questions?
No, I don't see anything.
Yeah, move we pay the bills.
Ron moves to pay the bills, all in favor? Carried. 2, revenue and expense report.
I received an email with that.
Yep.
Sure. You stole your truck. So people moving out and bringing in somebody else in the office, are you still on par for where you have your budget for your?
We're just transitioning around with the payroll, but.
So in the general revenue, how is the school tax revenue still $587.97 short out of a $226,000? I thought when we sent our taxes out, did it not cover all it? There just is an odd little less than 1% numbers there, budget remaining.
I'm not 100% sure what's going on there, so it's something I gotta look into.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be the case, so I'll have to get back to you on that, because
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what's happening. Delaney and I did talk about trying to look it up, but yeah, it just seems off that they're all slightly off, and they shouldn't be, so.
Yeah, and by slightly, it's like 0.26%, like it's not even 1%.
It's just something really weird that's happening there. So. I don't have an answer.
Well, that was an answer you're gonna find it.
Because the one thing that will disappear, moving forward, I did receive a letter from the provincial government, is that dip levy for $178. That we're not allowed to collect that anymore. So anything under $1,000 is not allowed to be collected, period. So before they said that we could pick or choose if we wanted to. Where now it's, yeah, you're not allowed to, so, that line item will probably just disappear off. We're gonna have to eliminate it because we're not allowed to collect that.
Tell us what to do.
It's giving us extra $1,000.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I wish I could just make it 1,000, but I'm not allowed to do that either, because it's all controlled by the provincial government, so.
We don't, as a municipality, don't have the right to print money at will? Interesting.
No, that's federal government.
Coronation bucks. No, we don't even print
There's
that.
a dollar match, right? So, yeah, and then
Brett would catch it if we printed money.
Yeah, hopefully.
Anything else?
I'll move the revenue and expense report.
Mark moves revenue and expense report, all in favor? Carried. Closed session.
Make a motion, we move to closed session.
Mark moves, we go into closed session at 8:16. All in favor? Carried.
Okay.